Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox coming to you today with a review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 14, The Reunion Part 1. It's reunion time, you guys, and before we get started with the meat of the review or the recap or whatever you want to call it, let's talk about the fashions, because that's what's most important. For the most part, I love the color. Red is my favorite color, even though it wasn't really red, or it didn't come off red, at least on the camera. It was sort of like a reddish, orangish kind of combination or whatever. But I did really like the color. I thought it looked really nice on their skin. And I guess because the theme was Jamaica, they tried to make it look like they were going home to Jamaica. Shout out to Sonya. That's why they picked such a jewel tone color. Now, my favorite, and I had already put this on my Instagram, was Kenya. The order of who looked the best to me was Kenya, Sheree, even though I love Sheree's hair more than I loved Kenya, but Sheree's whole look I actually really liked, but I loved Kenya's dress, you guys. Wasn't happy about those spiral curls. I don't know why she didn't just wear a natural curl unit. But anyway, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't my favorite. But it was Kenya, then Sheree, then Drew, then Candy, then Marlo, then Sonya. Marlo and Sonya, I don't know what they had on. I just was like, first of all, their dresses look very similar. It's a bra and it was all this over coverings, and I was just like, And usually Marlo does well. But it's interesting because on her reunions, I'm never usually a big fan of her reunion look. So I don't know what happens, and I don't know who that designer was. Like, I just wasn't, but I loved Kenya's dress. I loved that peak of the sequins or whatever the shimmer was, the shimmer up here. Everybody's makeup looked really good. I thought that everybody's makeup was pretty. And for the most part, everybody's hair was cool. Candy's dress and Drew's dress was somewhat ice skaterish, promish, but, it was still okay. It just, I don't know. It seemed all the embellishments, you got to be careful with the embellishments. But other than that, I thought nobody looked bad. I just thought, my rank of who I thought looked the best. But yeah, Kenya was it for me. Okay. And of course we got Andy, who, as the years goes on, looks like he is, he's settling into daddyhood, isn't he? He's starting to look older. I guess because of COVID, people just not as, I don't know, like your hair, you see these people, sometimes their hair is longer and they just don't look as upkept as they used to before COVID. COVID relaxed a whole bunch of people, including myself, because child, I can't tell you, I can't tell you when the last time I put on makeup for a video. I need to. You guys see my face been broken out. Oh my God, it's been terrible. Anyway, we getting the face back together, so that's gonna be back. I was bad with it all summer, all in the sun, knowing that my face was gonna break out and all that. So we gonna get it together. Thank y'all for not being like, Roxanne, what's wrong with your skin? It's fucked up, that's all. But anyway, you guys, before we got everybody out onto the stage, it was the same as usual. Andy going around to everybody's room, seeing how they are, getting them pumped up, asking them what they're looking forward to. Are they nervous? Those kind of things. I would imagine Sonya is nervous. This is her first reunion. This is Drew's second. So, she's getting more, acquainted with how these things go. They asked Candy, he asked Candy who was she looking forward to the least of seeing? And she was just like, well, Marlo. Candy ain't feeling Marlo. It was an interesting episode with Marlo, wasn't it? But we'll get to that in a little bit. So when they walked out, you were able to see everybody's dress one by one. So the first person out was who? Drew was first, then we had Sonya, then we had Sheree, okay, then we had Candy, Marlo, and Kenya, okay? Now the seating was strange. The seating was odd, okay, because I'm a go from one end of the couch all the way to the other and tell you the order. So we had Sonya, then we had Drew, then we had Marlo, then we had Andy, then we had Sheree, then we had Kenya, then we had Kandi. So usually the people that are the closest to Andy, at least historically, the people that are closest to Andy were the ones who had most of the story or most of what was going on the show for the season. Okay. And so I didn't know that it was Sheree and Marlo, but I guess Marlo definitely was in everybody's mouth this season. But Sheree, maybe because of the She by Sheree, I don't know, child. It was just very interesting to me. And sometimes that seating can be telling as well, or especially with Kandi being on the end there. I was like, does that mean that Kandi might be at the end of the road here? Is she on her way off the show? I mean, time will tell, but I wouldn't be surprised, you guys. But yeah, so that's how it opened. Just like regular reunions go, nothing out of the ordinary. Actually, this was just a regular reunion. Usually the second part is where all of the fire starts. But yeah, the first part is usually just yeah. So first we start off on bone collecting. Who was the bone collector of the show? So they go back and they show flashbacks of all of the things that people told the other person, going back saying, well, you said this and she said this and this person said that, and you know how it goes. Well, we all know that everybody bone collects and goes back and says what, everybody goes back and tells. Who did it the most? I think that Sonya was good for doing it, even more so than Sheree. When they were like, Sheree called you a bone collector in training, Sonya didn't necessarily like that title. All right, Drew, are you the bone collector? Seeing as Drew likes to throw bones at people, namely Fatum. And Drew was like, no, I only had that bone for your friend. Your friend needed the bone, and you know how she does. And speaking of Fatum, Sheree said that she didn't know that Fatum was gonna say that stuff about Ralph because she doesn't actually think that Ralph is gay. She just thought that Fatum would hold it because she wouldn't have said anything. Drew was like, bullshit. You would have said something too. I think Sheree probably would have said it. Not necessarily to Drew, but it would have came out. As far as her using Fatum to be like doing her dirty work, now that one I got to argue with because Sheree has never had a problem with being the one, okay? She can carry her own dirt quite easily. She's done it in the past. Ain't no reason why she needed Fatum to do it for her this season. What other quick little rumors can we dispel? Kenya didn't borrow Lisa Ray's car, but she was on her show recently, and she said that, Lisa told her that she can borrow her car anytime, even though Lisa did say that it wasn't true. Marlo just be making up stuff. Marlo was just like, I just say what I hear. Pot stirrer. Who was the pot stirrer? Is Kenya a pot stirrer? Well, you know what? Again, everybody can be the one to stir the pot. It just sort of depends on who gets the information, who the information is about, and who is at the ready. Who's the one right then at that time that's going to be the one to stir the pot. So they can all be it. Kenya has been it this season as well. And of course, we still have Drew and Sonya fighting. Drew's being shady, said that Sonya is a great runner. That's all that she knows that Sonya is. And Sonya was just like, and you strive for mediocrity. It's like, oh. It was funny because everybody kind of seemed like they was ready to jump at it. They wanted to start arguing right from the beginning. At least Sonya and Drew did. And Andy actually seemed like he was a tad bit impatient. Did you notice? Like every time they would try to get started, he was like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about that right now. Like, stick to the order of what we talking to, please. Now, all that out the way, let's get to the stories. Who did we start with? She by Sheree. Tyrone. Her whole storyline. So after we get the package about Sheree, Andy was like, okay, so now where are we, with the whole She by Sheree? And she says, well, the website is going to drop on the day of the finale. When the show airs, everything is going to be ready. They're going to have the products on there. He was like, so there's going to be fashions on there. She was like, yes, and you can use your credit card and you can buy whatever you want. Well, we know hindsight is 2020, right? Didn't quite work out that way. Actually, this morning when I just woke up, I saw that Kandi posted that the She by Sheree website is back up. They had to move it over because there was a problem, couldn't handle the amount of people that was coming, so they had to switch over to a new host and yada, yada, yada. But Kandi is still trying to support her girl, Sheree. I was just like, okay, All right. Even after this reunion, no, Andy is looking forward to being able to buy joggers. He was like, with the dick print. And she was just like, no, not the dick print. Hey, ladies, what did you think about the fashion show? And they all pretty much were impressed. Well, Candy, you were quite shady with Sheree. Okay, to be clear, I have always been a supporter of She by Sheree. Now, have I been throwing shade? Yes. Has she been throwing shade? Yes. Honey, Sheree said she wasn't throwing shade at Candy. Candy was just like, what? Candy couldn't believe it. Like, girl, just watch the show. You was throwing shade the whole time. Sheree was like, well, tell me when. And Candy was like, okay, well, we can start with the conversation that you had with Marlo outside on the patio. Okay, remember when Marlo was saying that she was a hoe and she did this and she did that and Sheree was co-signing? You was being shady, Sheree. Actually, you was being messy because you knew that Marlo was out there just wrong as two left feet. But Sheree, like I said, Sheree didn't see that as being shady. Okay, she was just having a conversation, whatever, Sheree. Okay, so then they get into a back and forth about whether or not Sheree is being used on Candy's show as clickbait. Sheree was like, you use me all the time, you talk about me all the time, and I understand because I am good clickbait, but still. And Candy was just like, you think that I need you for clickbait? Child, don't nobody care about that damn She by Sheree that much. Okay, Candy has quite the following. Did you guys see when they showed how many much more followers that she has than anybody else? Okay, yeah, Sheree, stop it. So Sheree was still trying to argue that she didn't talk about Candy and all, and even Andy had to jump in and was like, no. In the confessionals, okay, you had quite a bit to say about Candy. So we flashed that back and show what she said. I mean, it's all a part of the game, okay? Everybody throws shade in the confessionals, including Candy. She had a lot to say about Sheree, Tyrone, and all of that, so it was like everybody was doing it. One of the viewers was like, why do you guys give Drew such a hard time about dropping it with Drew? But it took Sheree 14 years to come up with She by Sheree. And Drew was like, thank you. That's all I want to know. Child, that Sheree said, I am fashion, so I'm going to have a fashion line. Drew doesn't represent fitness in any way. She had her body done. That was Sheree's feeling. Well, everybody has had some work done, and that was Drew's sentiment. Everybody up here has had a little something done to their body, And so, everybody starts saying what they've done. But Sheree's thing is Drew had her whole body done. Well, I mean, so what? If she felt like she wanted to have her body done after she had her babies and, felt like, everybody gave her hell last season about her body. So, I see why Drew probably felt pressured to have more work done. The fact of the matter is both Sheree and Drew, when it comes to these certain businesses that they have, we got to have a side eye for. Drew said that she doesn't represent fitness. She represents health and wellness. Okay, and that, they've all had some stuff done, including Sheree, your butt. Sheree was like, girl, you wish. Honey, this butt is all natural, squats, not pumped. You can't front. Sheree has a really nice body. She looks like she's had a few things done, but she's also very athletic and in shape, and that's fine. Whether it came naturally, corn-fed, or if you just got some tweaks here and there, nobody really cares. But Drew's whole point is that she wishes that she would have gotten more support in her, uneasiness about how she looks. You're not going to get support from this group because they're the ones that told you last season that you was out of shape. So don't look for the support from this group anyway. Okay, Sheree, do you pay your bills? Well, Sheree says that she pays the people that needs to be paid. I always have a mixed feelings about this whole thing about paying people and not paying people. The big thing now on social media is showing when somebody goes and gets a service done, and then when they're not happy about it, then they don't want to pay. And everybody be in the comments like, I wouldn't have paid either. And no, that is not right. You should pay for whatever service that you have done. Now, if the person fucked up your hair, didn't do your nails right and all of that, you don't go back to them. But if they've completed the service, you got to pay for it. That's all it is. And so that's what they telling Sheree, Kenya was like, no, you have to pay for something that was already provided for you. And that's the thing that Sheree, I guess when Sheree don't like something, she just be like, I ain't paying. So that's why it's all around town that Sheree don't pay her damn bills. That Sheree tried to use Marlo as an example and was just like, I was talking to Marlo and Marlo was talking about her dress, and she wasn't gonna pay for her dress. And Marlo was just like, I was just joking, I always pay my bills. But I guess Marlo wasn't happy with that dress. I was like, I guess you wasn't, because I wasn't happy with that dress either. I know Marlo can do so much better. Now, while we're having this conversation, Marlo brings up whatever issue that she has with Candy. It doesn't really have anything to do with what we're talking about right now, so I don't even know why Marlo brought it up. But Marlo's whole issue is that she was upset that Candy was trying to take credit for, helping her. And Candy was just like, the only reason why I said that is because you got on this show, on this platform, and was saying that I did not help anybody. Marlo was just like, I'm just saying that. Candy kept saying that she got me a show. She didn't get me a show. Candy was just like, what are you talking about? I did get a show. I called my agent and said, do you think that we can get a show for her? And Marlo was just like, you didn't do that, Todd did. Well, first of all, what is it? Does Todd do his own business, or does Todd do everything behind Candy? You guys all want to say that Candy is really the bread maker and the one making moves over there when it fits you. But now in this case, Marlo, now you're trying to give all the credit to Todd when you don't even know, or you don't want to admit that Candy was the one who looked out for you. Yes, Todd called you, but Candy was the one who put the bug in the agent's ear to see about getting Marlo a show. Marlo said the contract didn't look right to her. Fine. Contract didn't look right to you. You didn't do the show or whatever, but you can't sit up there and say that Candy has never helped you. And so that's why Candy was so aggravated. And when that Marlo said that Todd got her the show, Candy was just like, that is a lie. That is a lie. It's like, y'all know, don't get Candy heated up there. Nobody believes Marlo anyway, Candy. Okay, so you just keep on doing what you're doing. So while we go off on this brief tangent with Candy and Marlo, Sheree was just like, excuse me, guys, it's my segment, thanks. Like, don't try to take the shine away from me, even though we talking about how I don't pay my bills, but still. I was like, really, Sheree, your segment is boring because we don't care about Tyrone. We really don't, okay? But I guess we got to talk about him. So Andy was like, so why after Tyrone been in jail for 7 years? Or 8 years, why would you decide to be abstinent once he finally gets out of jail? And Sheree was just like, I wasn't satisfied, okay? They did get it in as soon as he got out of jail, and then I guess when shit went left, then they decided to be abstinent. I was thinking to myself, like, what's the purpose of being abstinent with a person? The sex ain't getting no better even if you wait. Okay, so you was gonna waste your time, being with this person but not having sex with them and like that whole storyline with Tyrone is such bullshit. I can't believe that he is still allowing himself to be looked at this way, because I feel like this was all just a plan so that Sheree could have a storyline on the show, that he allowed himself to look like this so that she can have a storyline. Nothing more, child. I don't believe none of that shit with Tyrone. Now, what about your new boo? Okay, well, he's on another show, and Sheree said that they've been dating for a few months, and she's just having fun. One of the viewers was like, so you decide to go and date this person with the history that he has, do you ignore red flags? And she was just like, well, I think that we all ignore red flags. Girl, don't be trying to put all this on everybody. We talking about you and this dumbass relationship. Well, I won't say dumb. Maybe it is something there. I don't believe it, but, we'll see. But she said that if she were to go by his personality on the actual show, then no, she wouldn't date him. But, off the show, he's a totally different person, and she's just having fun and trying to figure things out, okay? Andy was like, what did he do? Why is he such a bad person? And so then Kenya was just like, oh, he got another woman pregnant while he was married, okay? Andy already knew that, but we had to put that out there for y'all anyway. And I thought it was hilarious when Sheree was just like, well, he is a good looking guy, but, I've never really cared about looks. And Kenya was like, we know, we met Bob. Bob at home, like, now see how I get in this. Bob been minding his business. Quit talking about Bob. Well, one of Sheree's good qualities, at least Sonya thinks, is the fact that she doesn't care what people think. And I was like, you can't be Sheree and care about what people think, because Sheree has had too many times where, if she cared what people think, she would be super stressed out. So, you know what, let's not care. Let's do what we gonna do. And, just everybody can have whatever opinion they have of her. So, they were like, we want you to win, even how the chateau was. Did you hear when she said that she did that because everybody else wanted her to do it? She said something along those lines. That's what I was telling you guys last week. I was just like, Sheree does things because she feels like she has to prove it to everybody. It's not necessarily what she wants to do. I'm going to see how long she sticks with this She by Sheree stuff. Now, let's jump over to Sonya and Drew. Okay, remember Sonya was brought on the show and supposedly she was a friend of Drew's. That's kind of how they brought her in. And I guess both of them, by both of their accounts, they were getting closer and closer, hanging out together, enjoying each other's company. But things went left. Andy was like, I was bummed to see that you guys could figure out, your friendship. Drew keeps on saying she doesn't really know what happened. Sonya says out of all the ladies on the show, Drew is the person that she speaks to the least. And we all know that Sonya had the problem with Drew because Sonya felt like Drew just started shit with everybody. Okay, and she didn't like that. She felt like Drew didn't know how to communicate well with the other ladies and was always starting shit. And Sonya didn't want to be looked at as a shit starter or anybody that supported Drew's bullshit. So that was the problem that Sonya had with Drew. Nothing for her to be falling completely out with Drew. I never understood why it had to be all that. It could have just been like, girl, you messy. And but all of this, them fighting over the fact that she doesn't like the fact that Drew is confrontational and everything, never really, really, truly made sense. It always seemed like Sonya was just trying to connect herself to the more liked people on the show, okay? Meaning Kenya and Candy. When that didn't look like that was going to work out or pan out too well, then she jumped over to Marlo and Sheree. But originally she was trying to do Kenya and Candy, okay? And they even talked about the fact that they had followers when she had them come to the photo shoot, and how she was kind of trying to piggyback on how many followers. Now, she's the one that said it on the show, but she's saying that that's not the only reason why she was trying to have them be involved. It's just that she wanted them to be there. But yeah, Sonya, I think, was strategic in how she wanted her friendships to lay. They just hooked her up with Drew, and honey, Drew wasn't going to work. Now, Drew says that she was blindsided. Remember when Sonya confronted her in front of all of the girls when they were out of town, and Drew was upset about that. Sonya was like, we're going to get this straight right here and right now. Like I know that off camera, I came and told you that I was going to mention the fact that I didn't like how you did this, that, and the other. Okay, Drew was just like, that never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't never happen. And she was just like, it did happen. It was in front of you and Ralph and your makeup artist. Good and damn well. And I was like, well, Sonya, rule number one. What did Candy tell us a long time ago? And I feel like one of these reunions, that she don't have no conversations with anybody if the cameras is not around, if it pertains to the show or anything that's going to happen on this show, because people will tell you quick, fast, and hurry that the shit didn't happen. So Candy says that she even tries to limit her conversations with people, at least she did in the past, because she only was going to say it if she knew that it was going to be on record so people could actually see what she said. And that has always been something that these ladies need to take heed to, because, honey, just like Drew said, Drew was just like, you ain't got proof of it. But Sonya was like, no, that shit did happen. But the funny thing is, Drew, the whole time that everybody was trying to talk, Drew keeps interrupting. And Andy was just like, well, you know what, Drew? One of the viewers asked, do you realize the fact that you talk over people so much is the reason why you probably have problems with your friendships and in your marriage? And she said that she is working on it, because that is such a very annoying quality. I hate people who don't let you finish your sentence. Can I talk? Okay, and that's one of the reasons why probably Drew gets on my nerves so bad. But anyway, back to Sonya. So Sonya gets so upset and frustrated with Drew because she was just like, Drew, what happened. She starts crying because she was just like, you made me look a certain way, but this is what really happened. And so then, Andy was just like, so wait a minute, Drew, do you see that she's crying? And Drew was like, well, there's tears. And they were like, yes, and that means that's crying. I don't see Drew and Sonya ever really being friends. That Drew is something special, child. Drew feels like Sonya's putting 20 on 10, I guess. She's not a trained actress, however, she's able to just sit up here and cry on a dime. Maybe Sonya is a little upset about what happened with that, okay? Sheree did mention that Drew is a natural born liar. She lies all the time, so you can't never really go by what, what Drew said. Now, let's jump over to Marlo. So I'm not going to use the Marlo voice because this is a serious subject. You guys know I don't like to tease when things are serious. The thing about Marlo, you guys, is it's hard to not feel, if you're human, you're going to feel sorry for the Marlo that was in foster care, the Marlo who clearly had a very tough upbringing, the Marlo who's been in how many mug shots that she's had. I mean, she's been in legal trouble. She's, you know, you can just imagine the things that she's faced in foster care. She's been in foster care from 10 years old until she graduated out at 18 years old. So I'm sure she's had a rough life. You can't help but feel sorry for her for what she's been through. However, Marlo makes it so damn near impossible to remember those things when Marlo is Marloing, okay? The whole time that she's talking, you can tell that the ladies are affected by some of Marlo's stories. She's talking about her mom, how her mom came to visit, but the visit ended up not going well because she went back home. She went back to, I'm assuming, her drinking and drugs or whatever she's doing. And Marlo's just upset. Like, I need my mom. You know, I look at the ladies and the relationship that they have with their mother. She talked about Candy and how her mom even protects her, even though we all tease Mama Joyce. One thing you know is that Candy and Mama Joyce have a bond. You know, she's wishes she had that kind of things. Like, all of these things you know about Marlo, okay? The whole thing about hurt people, that saying just really gets on my nerves, but there is truth to it, you know? So Marlo being up there and crying about it, it was just sort of like I'm really trying to understand Marlo. I mean, I think I do understand Marlo. Marlo, because she's just so ready to go to the gutter side, like she lacks like this human aspect about herself. You know, when Kenya said, when Andy asked Kenya, do you feel like Marlo used her greatness as a housewife? You know, when she came in, she stepped in as a housewife. Do you think she used it for greatness? And Kenya said no. Okay. All of this shit that Marlo has in her background and all of the things that have happened to her, those are the kind of storylines that Marlo could have focused on. However, Marlo chose to go after Kenya, go after Candy, say all these mean things. Just half of the shit wasn't true, maybe even more than that. Marlo chose the route that she chose violence, okay? And no, she could have came on this show and she could have been like, bitch, I am here now. I am a peach holder and, you know, I can just be fabulous and be Marlo and all of this. But instead, she is the one that kept the most of the shit going. And it really backfired. I think that Marlo realizes it now that it backfired. But during the show, like, she couldn't help it. She just had to stay in the bush. I mean, she had to stay just gutter. So like I said, you know, it's hard to feel sorry for Marlo. You know, when she was crying and saying that, you know, everybody calls me a whore up here, but nobody can produce a man that I've had sex with or I've taken money from, you know, it's true. Nobody has been able to turn up any of the stuff. Nobody has been able to figure out how Marlo gets her money, you know, before she's gotten on the show. Like, nobody was able to do any of that. And so she just kind of feels like certain things, certain labels that are put on her aren't necessarily true. Well, I'm sure that that's a fact. But like I said, Marlo is so unlikable that it makes it easier for us to believe the shit that may not be true. You know? Blue, what are you doing over there? So yeah, Kenya is saying, you know, we got a glimpse of the good Marlo. You know, when her and Kenya first, at the beginning of the season, when Kenya got upset about Mark not wanting to take the baby or whatever when they were in New York. And remember when Marlo went out there and had the conversation with Kenya, she was being a supportive friend at that time. That kind of shit didn't stick, okay? But I was cracking up when Marlo said that she's never said anything bad about her husband on the show. Kenya was like, did you guys just hear her say that? Are you serious? I was like, maybe Marlo has like amnesia. Maybe she don't remember certain things. Maybe she just be so stuck in the moment. Excuse me, sir. Get down. I know, Blue. Say hi to the people. No, I don't want you to try to lick me. Get down. Kenya was like, this girl stayed talking about Mark, my husband, the whole time. I don't even think, like I said, Marlo don't even be remembering half of the shit that she say. She just say whatever she say. She be mad and shit. She say whatever she say, and then afterwards she be trying to feel sorry and get people to feel sorry for her. Hey, can I finish the video? Anyway, you guys. So Marlo is going on and on about how the ladies are so mean to her and everything. And Kenya was like, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, and that's kind of how the show ended, because Kenya is about to tell Marlo about herself. And the reason why the ladies say what they say, they don't just say it out the blue. They say it because they're reacting to the shit that Marlo says. Marlo says shit out the blue. Some of the things that Marlo has said about these ladies on the show, it just comes out of nowhere. You just be like, girl, where you got that from? Just like the whole borrowing Lisa Ray's car. Where did she get that from? Okay? Her saying that Candy hasn't helped a lot of people. You know, her talking about all of the, pretty much she said something about all of the ladies on the show, but Candy and Kenya are the ones that bear the brunt of it. Okay, so yeah, I just, somebody asked me, did I feel like they brought the mom on to make us feel sorry for Marlo? You know, and that it was maybe too little too late. And I said, well, maybe they did, although I don't know why they would want us to feel sorry for Marlo after she carried on the way that she did all season. But what I will say is I think that Marlo is probably going to be a housewife again next season. They're going to give her a chance to try to redeem herself. I actually see the whole cast, you know, I don't know what other shakeup that they need. They keep on saying they want to bring Phaedra back and they want to do this and they want to do, it's just like, it's the same. Y'all recycling all the same old housewives again. Can we get somebody new? Stop it, Blue. Sonya, that's him eating his food, y'all, I guess. Sonya was a good addition. I think she can hang. We'll see. But anyway, that was the first episode. Like I said, nothing earth-shattering. From what I understand, we're not going to get too much more out of Marlo. I think they said that Marlo was quite humble throughout the whole whole reunion. So we'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, you guys, these reunions just be rehashing the whole season. It's just sort of like talking about stuff that we've already talked about before or something. But I mean, it has to happen, I suppose. Anyway, you guys, what y'all thought about the first part? All right, you guys, that is it. Before I get off, I wanted to remind you guys, or actually let you guys know, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you probably don't know unless you follow Scotty by Nature. Mr. Still Standing, congratulations to him. He actually is going to be interviewing Candy, Miss Candy Barres-Tucker herself, tonight at 5:15 on his, I'm assuming on his YouTube channel. It's going to be him and Jamar. And they are going to be, this is a big, big deal. So I wanted to make sure that I told everybody to make sure that you guys tune in. I'm going to put on my Instagram, whether it's 5:15 Eastern. I know that Scotty is in Mississippi and I think they're an hour ahead of me. So I'm not sure if it's 5:15 Eastern or what, but the information will be on my Instagram. Y'all make sure y'all support Scotty. I'm so proud of him. He has been doing the damn thing this year, especially just really focusing on growing his channel, interviewing all of these people. But this is probably the biggest fish that he has caught. So good for him. So I just wanted to make sure that I told you guys that y'all tune in to Scotty's interview with Candy Barres-Tucker tonight. And again, we love you, Scotty, and so happy that this is happening for you. On that note, I'm gonna get this video edited and uploaded to you guys. I'm doing this all before work and I am about to be busy, so I'm trying to get this done. Okay, make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm itsrox. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar eventually. I'll update it every now and then. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, rock stars. Bye.